I've only been running for a little over a year, almost 2 years. I hated running before that. It was like punishment in gym class. It was the only thing I knew of running. But I dislocated my knee a second time skateboarding and got to the point where it was like I could hardly walk, let alone run. So I started walking a lot, and I think I found like the Couch to 5K iPhone app and was like, oh, I'll play around with this. And it was like, I did that, finished it, and was like, all right, well, I'll try to run twice that far. And then it was like, all right, I'll try to run twice that far. And then just kind of kept going from there. I got to where I could do, run for 30 minutes, but I wasn't even finishing a 5K in 30 minutes. So I was like, well, if I run for an hour, then I'll get some actual mileage. I think the other thing I like about it is, that aspect of like pushing yourself. But for me, there's just not much appeal to pushing myself to run like a fast 10K or like a half marathon as fast as I can. Like, I think I'm just too lazy for that. It hurts and it's really hard work. Whereas like I can space out on a trail and run for 4 or 5 hours and really just, by the time it's over with, I'm like, wow, that was fun. I was talking the other day, and I think a lot of it goes back to being a skateboarder, and like skateboarding was there's never like a competitive aspect of skateboarding, but there's always like if you're skating with a group of people and somebody lands a trick, even if it's a trick you can do with your eyes closed, but it's the first time they land it, you're psyched for them. And I've found ultra running to be kind of the same, where it's like, if somebody finishes in 13 hours, but that's their PR, everybody is psyched for them, even if it's like, wow, that was really slow. Like, my first, 50 was over 13 hours, and it was like, I couldn't have been happier with that time. It was I finished 50 miles, like, I didn't even care that I didn't come in under the cutoff time for the race. I was just like, hey, I finished a 50 miler.
Yeah.
So, there's that kind of aspect of it where it's like, it's competitive, but not really competitive with the people around you. It's more like self-competitive. I do 2 speed work days a week and 2 long runs a week, and then I try to fill the rest in with just easy recovery miles. So I'll do, usually Sundays and Tuesdays in my speed work, I'll do like 9 to 10 miles and throw some sort of interval work in there. Mondays and Wednesdays are just easy recovery days. And then Thursdays and Fridays I'll do back-to-back long runs. I'll try to peak this next 2 weeks. I'll do back-to-back 5-hour runs. Hopefully, ideally, both weeks I'll cover 50 miles in the span of 2 days. For me, that's just like a mental thing where it's like, okay, if I can run 50 in 2 days, I can run 50 in 1 day without the sore legs after sleeping on it overnight, so completely unprepared. I did a 50K as a training run about a month before it, and it was really flat. It was the lakefront 50K. It was really flat, and I ran it pretty fast, and I was like, dude, I got this. This is nothing. And about 10 miles into Gnawbone, I was already cramping and wanted to die by mile 30.
How'd you get through that?
Sam tricked me. He told me the car was one way, and it was actually the trail and the aid station that direction. And by the time I was back on the trail, he was like, oh, you only got a couple miles. You can walk to the aid station and we'll meet you there. Yeah, they focus on homelessness and addiction recovery, and kind of match running goals with their goals within those organizations to get people back on their feet. We did the Indiana Reentry Foundation did a half marathon inside the prison that benefited Back on My Feet. They raised a bunch of money for Back on My Feet from within IREF. So that was a really cool experience. It was a lot of short laps. There's no like conscious aspect of it like that for me, but I guess it could be easy to look from the outside and be like, well, most people get a tattoo instead of like cover themselves in tattoos, and most people run a mile or a 5K and not 50 miles or 100. So it's like, I guess there could be that aspect where I just kind of get kind of obsessive about
Yeah.
things, maybe. Or I just get focused on something and don't let it go. But I don't think it's really a conscious thing. Maybe that's just my personality. One of my favorite feelings about running is like showing up to work at noon and like, you know, clients first start coming into the day and it's like early, you know, early day and everybody's kind of doing their morning, like wake up, kind of just getting started for the day. And I can look back on my morning and be like, I ran 28 miles this morning. Like before work, before everybody woke up, I did 28 miles on a trail. And it's like something about that. It's as cheesy as it is, like the whole Fight Club, like feels like it turns the volume down on the rest of your life. It's that kind of like mentality of like, yeah, I can get through my work day. That's nothing. Like I already ran 28 miles. I'm fine. I like that aspect of it. It's like a little secret life you have before you go into work or something.